Welcome. Everybody. Welcome. Everybody, welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Welcome. Hello. Sarah, Anna, Heather, hello. Hi, Jess. Hi, Sarah. Okay. Susie, hello. Nola, David. Yes, welcome, Molly, Linda, Gabriela, welcome. Yes, Kristen, welcome. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here. So, welcome to Embracing Equity's webinar series, Real Talk, Real Action. We thank you for your beginning action in joining us in this space today. We host these webinars because we want to hold space to talk about important issues, and we want to help each other move to action. Why action? Why the focus on action, you might be asking? And here's the answer. Because the grip that racism, oppression, inequity has on us as a collective can be crippling. It can cause us to freeze and be hopeless. So thank you for being here with us today. And today this time really feels particularly important in the current culture and climate that we're in. Because to me, to folks that I've talked to, there seems to be a plan, an intention for us to give up and be hopeless. So today is an act of resistance. We are hopeful, and today's topic will help us move forward. In case this is your first time with us, I want to briefly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Nicole Noel Evans, and I serve as the Senior Director of Leadership at Embracing Equity, and I will be your host today. I currently live in the unceded territory of the Missouri people, better known as St. Louis, Missouri. So let's get into the topic. My first introduction to Montessori was in college. The theory was discussed, and it was just a chapter in my learning about educational theories. And around 2012, 2013, after transitioning to leadership in a public school to leadership in a public Montessori school, one thing was glaring for me. This Montessori world, this new world, was white, overwhelmingly white. And for me, I began to struggle with that. I failed to understand why this beautiful way of teaching and learning and being was not only serving mostly white children and families, but the lead teachers were white as well. So when I saw a few people of the global majority and even fewer Black folks in Montessori settings, they were, and quite frankly, continue to be assistant guides, mainly assistant guides or support staff. So I pressed, like I asked, I started inquiring for the reasons why. And one of the reasons that was shared with me with some people was really just about the lack of knowledge about this way of learning. And another reason that was often cited was the lack of financial resources for people of the global majority to pay for and to go through training. And finally, the lack of equitable anti-racist learning environments that support Black Montessorians in the spaces. What they were saying to me was, we have these beautiful Montessorian spaces, but Black Montessorians are not thriving. Black families are not thriving. Black children are not thriving in these spaces. So that was just really my first really introduction to Montessori. And so y'all didn't come here just to hear from me. I have an amazing panel who is going to join me in this discussion. And so let's add our first panelist, Misha Perrin. And so our panelists are going to introduce themselves and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of this conversation. Misha, welcome. All right, unmute yourself so we can hear you. Yeah.
Thank
There
you
you
for having me.
Yes, no worries. Yeah.
I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you all for joining. We're excited to bring this conversation to you. And I guess I start with introducing myself, right? So, my name is Misha, and I'm the executive director for the BMEF. I'm also a certified elementary Montessori guide. I did my AMS training in the 6 to 9 level, and I have taught in classrooms around the world over the last 8 years. I am a passionate Montessori educator who saw the value of the pedagogy from the first moment I stepped into a classroom. And I've taken that throughout my journey, both professionally and personally, because I think the two are intertwined in ways that are beyond most of our understanding even.
Yeah.
um and so seeing Montessori and how it engages and interacts with those different communities and different cultures in all these places where I've been blessed to experience Montessori has really helped me to see where the gaps are in the way
Mm,
that it's implemented on this side of the world.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're gonna drop some information in the chat for you. Next up, we have Bree. Come on, Bree. Hi, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, I just supposed to jump right into my introduction.
Yes, jump right in.
I
Yes,
thought you were going to be like, take it away.
take it away.
So, my name is Bree. I am a 0 to 3 AMS guide in Dallas, Texas. I'm originally from a small town in North Carolina, Oxford, North Carolina. I also own a wellness business named Solar Bee, where I focus on Black communities, uplifting Black communities through Black joy, mindfulness, yoga, and movement. I'm also a trauma informed yoga teacher. I do that as well. And I'm really, really all about uplifting Black communities and bringing access to Black children. I've not only taught in Montessori spaces, but I've led summer camps. I've done Bible study camps. I've done private school lessons. I've worked in a bunch of different areas of education, but Montessori has had my heart. And through my certification process, I've learned so much about starting from birth. And that's where my hyper focus is right now. I'm focusing on the baby starting from conception and on. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Welcome, Bree. All right, we're bringing Ashley in. Hey, Ashley. Welcome and take it away.
Greetings and peace, y'all. Greetings and peace. Yes, my name is Ashley Kazi Golden, and I founded Afrocentric Montessori, and I co-founded Gather Forest School. And Montessori is, I call Montessori a breath. I focus everything on Blackness, right? So I think it's a breath for Black children, Black families, because it provides progressive education. It gives autonomy to the child.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to be up in this room to run my mouth about all things Black and Montessori, because I do believe we need to take up more space, because
Yes.
this style of education is a gift. It's
Yes.
a gift not only to the child, but it also is a gift to the family, because it does open up doors on how you can reconnect or connect better with your child, with your partner.
Mhm.
And I do think,
Absolutely.
because this can be so blaringly white, right? That sometimes we opt out because we don't see ourselves in it,
Yeah.
without recognizing that, like, if we could push past that and start taking up space,
Yes.
we can see that, oh, this is something that is for us, because you'll find so many similarities on how, from an African perspective, but also how you probably was raised in your home, you'll start seeing some similarities that it's actually not as far fetched or so white as you think. It's about bringing more of us to the table to have more nuanced conversations. So I am happy to be here, y'all.
All right. Well, welcome, welcome. And last but certainly not least, we're going to bring in the good doctor, Dr. Aize. Take it
Peace,
away.
peace, peace. Woo! Peace and blessings. So I am Aize Sabater. I am obviously the hype man for these dynamos here. What? I'm blessed to be here with the queens that are dropping gems for us all. So blessed to be here with you all. I'm a Montessori parent, Montessori researcher, Montessori father of multiple children who have been in Montessori varying levels, and helped to start a Montessori school in DC. And so Montessori school leader, just finished up my stint uh, with AMI USA as the executive director, still working with them as a consultant. So I'm a Montessori enthusiast and
Yes.
fan of all things, because I saw the power of the pedagogy and saw how children are able to work on their independence, work on following the things that they love, work on,
Yes.
able to learn while they're socializing, while they're moving around. They were actually having joy. What?
Mm.
Joy in the
Joy.
classroom,
It's a
and
joy.
were excited, on fire for learning. And I said, I need to bring this back to my community so that more of
That's it.
my children might be able to enjoy and be on fire for learning,
That's it.
just as what I was seeing right before my eyes. And so that's how I became a Montessori enthusiast. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right. I love that. Thank you. Wow. I told y'all these were amazing panelists. So let's get into it, you all. I'm gonna stay there, stay right there, Dr. Aize. Stay right there. Black Montessori Education Fund, right? Let's start the conversation there. What's the genesis story? Tell us more. What was the inspiration? Uh, come on, start us off.
They say what had happened was, so I'm in the moment of 2020, and some might remember, not only were we suffering with this pandemic that had gripped the world, However, we also were gripped by the public lynching of brother George Floyd.
Yeah.
And, it was caught on videotape, and it's like the public lynching that went around the world, right?
Mm.
And so for me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Yassine Bey Mos Def said, why did one straw break the camel's back? It's because there were a million other straws already on the camel's back. And so whether it's
Mm.
the straw of Fannie Lou Hamer, whether it's the straw of, we just celebrated when Paul Robeson just transitioned to join the ancestors, and you see the oppression against Paul Robeson, where they are trying to shut down this multifaceted genius because he was unapologetically excellent in many of the things that so you saw
Mm.
black excellence in what Paul Robeson was doing, and they are trying to shut him down. And so, whether you go back in our history, you will see just to continue, just like we are in this moment of repression and oppression right now with great harm happening to our people.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting with some of these big wigs in the Montessori community, and folk were saying, in the time like this, what can we do? And I was in the meeting, and I said, well, if we really trying to do something, we need to put some money on the table to stop faking it and help get more folk who are being marginalized
Yes.
in the door. And they were like,
Mm.
okay, Aize, but next, what's the next comment? What's the next thing? And I was like, okay. Then went to a Black Lives Matter rally with my son, and the pain of my people was palpable. I mean, you could literally cut the pain with a knife. And I was like, Aize, this Montessori pedagogy is a healing balm, right?
Mm.
It talks of what can help the sin sick soul. We need some healing of the nation. And
Mm.
I realized that Montessori could be a liberatory and a healing balm for our community. And so why am I going to ask somebody else to go ahead and put money on the table? I'm going to go ahead and put some money on the table myself. And so
Okay.
we need to be about FUBU, for us, by us. So why am I going to ask somebody else to do what I can do? And so we going to do the thing our darned self, right? Well, that's the Shirley Chisholm, right? Said, if
Right.
they don't give you a space at the table, bring the chair. So I said, I'm gonna bring it myself, and we're gonna do the
Right.
thing ourselves. And so it was at that point that we said, Aize, try and cobble together some of the connections you have, try and cobble together some of the,
Mm.
the folk that you have networked within your sphere of influence, bring them together, and let's go ahead and start the darn thing and do it ourselves.
Wow. That's amazing and inspiring. Awesome. So you helped start it, and now we have other folks on the call with us. So this question is for any one of you all. What compelled you to join this organization and the efforts?
I could jump and take that. And it's actually going to mirror a lot of what Dr. Aize said. I do believe that, like June Jordan said, we are the ones we are waiting for. Like, I truly believe that we can fund our education, we can fund our schools, we can do that. And so I was ecstatic when the advisory board was opening up with the Black Montessori Fund, because it's helping me take an active role on talking to folks about Montessori. Like, even though Montessori is such a mainstream word,
Mm.
when it comes to the global majority, there is still a lot of grayness. There's still a lot of like, wait, what is it again? Is this from me? I heard it was super expensive. So there's still a lot of confusion about it. So having organizations that put that as their prime focus, that we are educating Black children and Black families about this style of education is super important, because we need, in times like this, we
Yeah.
need clarity, we
Yeah.
need direction, and we need purpose. And so that fund got all of those three things. So that's why I'm a part of it.
Thank you. Bree.
Ashe, Ashe.
Hey.
Yes. Bree, tell us about you. What compelled you to join this particular organization and this movement?
So, coming from North Carolina, after college, I went straight into a Montessori classroom, and I worked as an assistant for 3 years. And I kind of bounced around as a floater for the first 2 years, but I landed in the primary CASA class. And I remember a parent coming to me and saying, "You're the first Black person I've ever seen at this school."
Mm-hmm.
And it took a moment for me to like look around and be like, I am the only Black assistant at the school. I'm the only Black educator in the school, and there were only a few Black students in the school. So, and I felt alone in the sense when I was in the Montessori space. And so I just had to take a step back from it. And of course, this is once I took that step back, it was during COVID. So I'm like, I'm falling way back. I don't know what the world is coming to an end.
Right.
Walking away from the space that does not feel safe for me during this crazy time, definitely. So I took my leave and took a little sabbatical from education. And during that time, I moved to Texas. And I was only just teaching yoga full time and working part time at like the little store down in the popular part of town. And I remember sitting up one night and just applying to a Montessori job because I was like, I miss it, but if I don't hear back from them, that's a sign I won't do it. She emailed me back within an hour of me applying, and so I was like, I'm back. And the space that I was in, the school that I'm still currently in, it was completely different from my experience in North Carolina, and it was riveting to be in a space with other Black educators. Like I had never experienced that like ever in my time in education.
Yeah.
So being able to go to the coffee room and have a conversation and be like, girl, or like have those relaxing moments where it's like today is I'm on one, they on one today, and not having to like tiptoe around like certain things or even using my regular colloquialisms and actually having someone understand what I'm talking about, or changing my hair and not having a whole conversation about it with the entire staff from day to day about why I magically grew 28 inches overnight. So that was important for me. So fast forward to that, I started my certification program, and I was just funneling through like Black Montessori, like, because I'm in this certification program and I am still the only Black person in my certification program. There were no Black educators teaching the training for me. There was no black person doing my training. So I'm like, this cannot still be the Montessori space. And literally just a quick Instagram search. I just searched Black Montessori and they were like the first thing that popped up. And it just so happens that when I followed them, I think like the next day they put out a call for like the advisory council. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm running off faith at this point. So it was meant to be. And I'm so happy that to be a part of a collective, especially given my history of always feeling alone and always feeling disconnected from, I embody Black joy wherever I go. And so having that disconnection for such a long time, but loving the Montessori, falling in love with Montessori pedagogy and the environments, and then being like, well, I can do this and still be Black and still show up Black every day and be blacker and black, then blacker than black, then blacker than black every day. So I am really, really thankful and grateful to be a part of such a collective, and not only a collective, but a moving collective. Like we get things done. And I think that is more so because I don't want to just join an organization just to just to have it sit on my resume, or I don't want to join an organization just to have it sit in my bio. Like I'm trying to get things running. I'm trying to permit other children to experience liberatory education, because that's literally what education is. It is a practice of freedom to us anyway, because it was once not given to us or once taken away from us. So why not bring it forward to our children? It's imperative. Yeah.
That's real talk and real action. That's what this is about. Misha, before we move on, I just want to, I don't know, I think y'all heard it, but I'm speaking to anybody who's with us on this webinar and for people who might look at it later. One thing that it went through my body is when Bree said, I felt alone. I felt alone. So if you are a head of a Montessori school, if you are working in Montessori schools, I need you to think about your folks, your Black folks, your people of the global majority. I need you to think about that. I need you to think about the family, the one or two families that you have, and that feeling. And what is it? What actions can you take? Misha, tell us about you. What you're the executive director. So talk to us. What made you say, all right, this is going to be my life's work, at least for
Yes.
now in this time. Yeah.
Well, what has proven true to me in the course of my life is that um, Montessori, anything Montessori related, tends to find me.
Mm,
And I think that that's true of anyone who's truly called to do the work.
mm,
The
mm.
more I speak to people and hear their origin story, the more I'm like, yeah, you. It's almost like the good doctor is speaking through us herself, and she goes, "I want you." At least that's how it's been in my life. So the same can be said about the BMEF. Um, I have a sort of roundabout story when it comes to Montessori and my experience with Montessori. Um, Coming from a Caribbean background and working mostly overseas in Montessori, I was able to see the joy that children have in learning that Dr. Eze was talking about in children across the pond, right? And then, my experience of all of that and of being so immersed in the pedagogy and seeing how it functions and how it supports children in all the ways, I thought, okay, it's time to go back home and bring this to my people. So I went to work in the Caribbean, and shockingly, that was my first exposure of what the Montessori demographic looks like. And I thought to myself, so I'm here, I'm representing, thinking that I'm gonna have a class of people like me, and that's not the case.
Mm-mm.
So at the same time, as I'm getting older and my peers are having children and I'm seeing what's happening in the US, and they're coming to me saying, what's this Montessori thing you keep talking about? How can we get involved? And every time it's like, oh, that is way too expensive. I cannot afford that. It's not accessible to me at all. And being the person that I am, I'm very solution oriented. I thought, well, how can I help? What can I do to like
Mm.
put my money where my mouth is? Instead of just going around touting Montessori and saying how amazing it is, what else can I offer to help my people get access to this amazing, transformative way of learning? And that's how I found the BMEF.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, let's get into it, y'all. Why Montessori for Black families? Why is there a need? And I'm listening to you all, and I'm peeking at the chat, right? And the chat is like, Montessori is not new to Black, like it's not, but it's been like a best kept secret. So how do we spread the word about what it is and what it isn't, right? And t- what's that historical context that some of you all might have that we can bring forth so people can hear, learn? So let's talk about it. Jump in, anybody.
Well, I can start.
Okay.
And I'm coming from 0 to 3. That's where my expertise is right now.
Can y'all
And
hear me?
yeah, we hear you. You want to go first?
No, we could.
Okay,
You want to go,
perfect.
Ashley? You want to go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
go.
yes.
Go.
So,
Go.
yes, I agree with the comments that Montessori is not new, but I will say how it is presented is
Yeah.
just not appetizing to our
Mm.
community all the time. Because
Mm.
I will say, as a Black parent of two, but also as a Montessori school founder, when parents go in, they're taking everything in and they're seeing, where does my child fit in this? Who
Mm.
is my child going to be learning from? Who is my child going to be interacting with? Where is my child being seen in the materials, the book? Like, that is what parents are looking for as they scan around the room. That is what they're looking for. And when they don't see it, it's like, okay, let me go another avenue. when they see the prices, it's like, okay, this is a big sacrifice. And as a school owner, things are expensive. Headcount is expensive. Materials are expensive. So
Yeah.
I get the price. I'm not going down that road about why things cost what they cost.
Right.
But when you think about who is being invited into your classroom, what your demographic look like, and how you are speaking and communicating with Black families, that does need to be top of mind. Like, what avenues of affordability are you tapping into? What conversations are you having? And you cannot do the blanket assumption. Like, oh, if they'll need it, they'll just email. Oh, if they don't need it, they'll just reach out. If you
Mm,
are truly invested in having a diverse classroom and having diverse teachers, there is some legwork that must be done. There is some sacrifices that must be had. And
mm,
there's also some, tough conversation, because you are going to have to get out of your comfort zone to really get to know your families and your teaching staff if you want to have a diverse classroom experience.
mm.
Because yes, Montessori is not new to us, but how it is presented, I'll circle it right back. How it is presented is truly not appetizing for our families, because we are thinking long haul. I'm telling you, as a
Mm.
Black mama, I'm not thinking about the year. I'm thinking like, okay, is this right for my child for
Yeah.
multiple years? Because we all know 1 year can do a lot of damage to a child. So
Yes.
why would I put my child in a space that I know in a year could cause some damage? Like,
Yes.
I want to know that I'm thinking long term, especially if I'm making that financial investment. I want to see long term investments for my child.
I love it. I love it. Bree, you are going to add to the conversation. What are you thinking?
Well, so I was talking about from the perspective from birth to now, or birth to three. Um, I grew up in a very big family. I have like 48 first cousins. My grandfather had a lot of kids. And so I grew up always taking care of someone. And as a child raising other children, you start to see things that we do in our community that other communities don't do. And I
Mm.
think that it's okay when it's done in the home for us, but sometimes if you see it done at school, they're like, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all have my baby on the floor, like at the school, like y'all not gonna help my baby feed themselves at the table,
Ah,
like y'all,
yes.
there's no bouncers, there's no playpens, there's no gates. They're just able to roam around. And it at home is like, it's cool when I'm at home because we're in the living room, we're in the space, this is our home, we've created this environment for them. But I feel like as even as a Black woman, it's hard for us, as Ashley said, it's hard for us to picture ourselves or our children in that space, because like,
Mm.
like if I'm not in the room, what's really going on, and if I'm at home and I can control these things in my environment, how do I know that you guys are preparing our environment for my child to thrive in? Or are you just, this is just the environment that it is for white children, how do I
Yes.
know that my child is going to be uplifted in
Yes.
this environment? At home it's uplifted because this is a Black household, this is a
Yes.
Black environment, this is our family environment that we've prepared for the child, for ourselves and for our family. But it's hard, I know, just seeing Black families come in and tour
Yes.
this facility, you can see it on their face, like, oh my gosh, where's the love? Like, can I actually picture my child in this space if they're not represented in this space? Or if the space is not designed for me to feel comfortable to leave my child. And
Yes.
like Ashley said, it's not really
Appealing.
promoted to, it's
Yeah.
not appealing. It's not
Yeah.
like, it doesn't scream like my child is going to be loved in the space. When you look from it from
Mm.
a certain perspective, I feel like it's not as
Mm.
inviting to Black communities as it can be, because we know that you can tailor an environment to
Yes.
uplift Black children, you can tailor an environment to promote
Yes.
Black joy. But if
Yes.
that's not on your brain as a lead guide, or as someone who administrator that's designing environments, then it's just going to be the regular Montessori space.
Yes. And I,
Yes.
Right.
I
Dr. Evans, can I veg you
yes,
back on that? I'm a
yes,
vegetarian, so I'm not gonna piggy, I'm a
yeah.
veggie back. So to that point, Bree, what often happens is because we don't have folk that look like us, black folk in leadership, then we aren't usually thinking about the black child. However,
Yep.
when you have some of us who are in leadership, then we are considerate of how our children learn, how our children move, and
Yes.
then how do we design spaces that will allow that black joy to be manifest. And so when you so when you have children, so I just went, for example, to a school tour. I'm here in DC. I went to Blue Montessori, which is a black wildflower recently opened school in southeast of the river in the in what they would call the economically challenged section of DC. They were
Mhm.
intentional to open up right there east of the
Yes.
river. And I go in and he's got culture, he's got black faces on the wall.
Exactly.
He's
Yes.
got the
Exactly.
children, got a flag of, and this was actually right around Haiti's Independence Day. And the flag activity was the Haitian flag. And I was like, bro, and so he's like, no, that represents my culture. And so I'm going to have the children. And so
Exactly.
again, when
Yeah.
you are intentional to be able to include
Yes.
the people who right
Who
there in that
show up?
community, then
Who
they
show
can
up?
feel like, oh, I'm loved,
Yeah.
I'm seen, I'm being
Exactly.
represented, and I'm intentionally being, some of my culture is being lifted up. um I was blessed to go in Missouri to the Montessori indigenous children's center, and I forget Sister LaFleur, Janice LaFleur. That's not the exact name of it, but she had indigenous artwork on the wall. She had indigenous fabric. She had
Mhm.
indigenous, paintings. And I was like, this is culture right here, right
Right
in
here.
your face. And
Yeah.
therein, they would feel that,
Included. They feel
they will feel
included.
included as soon as they walk in
Right.
the door. But again, because we haven't been represented in so many spaces, then folk aren't able to, yes, thank you, Janice LaFleur, then folk aren't able to go ahead and even think about our children. And in fact,
Exactly.
sometimes they often are even policing our children because
Yes.
They
they don't
are.
understand how our children move and groove in a
Why they
space.
need
But
to
when you
express
have more
Black
folk
joy.
that look like
Yeah.
us to be able to say, no, this is how the black child operates, this is how we
Yeah.
move, then you have a totally different conversation. And so I would suggest, if folk are interested, I did an article, Montessori and the Black Child, just talking about how the Montessori pedagogy aligns with the learning styles that Janice Hale Benson talks about with in Black children. So that one talks a little bit about how it overlaps. And when we understand, and we have people from the Black community to be able to see healthy practices of our children learning, of
Yes.
our children moving, of our children having independence, of our children taking initiative, then they can unlearn some of the
Exactly.
destructive ways
Yes.
of relating to our children. So let me zip my lip.
No, that was awesome. I want
I
to lift
wanted.
up
Oh
two things. Bree, I'm getting you.
no, you
Two
don't.
things. I want to thank you all for being participatory in the chat. Thank you, Maati. Maati lifted up her first time visiting a Montessori. It was too sterile for her. She looked
Mhm.
around. This is so sterile. There's no culture here. And you all
Mhm.
just named it. So my question for the other listeners, where have you seen culture represented in Montessori spaces? Or is this an aha for you? Is there something you can do differently? Talk with us in the chat, and then we're gonna keep talking. Bree, come on, add, come on, jump in, jump in.
I just wanted to add because I know that we do have administrators on online with us. Um,
Yes,
we as a culture are celebrated way beyond Black History Month and Juneteenth. And I think sometimes administrators feel the need to go all out for Black History Month and all out for Juneteenth now that it's a federal holiday. But we need to feel that year round. I need to feel
yes,
included in round. There needs to be books, there needs to be literature, there needs to be lessons, there needs to be materials, there needs to be, that even the snacks, everything needs to be inclusive, and we need to feel represented in order to feel comfortable. Because if not, you're just going to get a mask the entire time when you have Black employees. They're never going to show up in their true authentic selves. And as a Black educator, it's so hard to show up day in and day out and not be able to be authentic in yourself,
Yeah.
especially when you're caring for Black children in the space as well. Like they see you, they see, I see them. We both struggling because we masking in this space that's not designed for us. And so that's hard to swallow and show up every day. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Misha, jump in there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think that that's the key component that we need to highlight when it comes to Montessori, is that there is room for us to be us. There is room in the pedagogy and in the curriculum for us to bring culture and awareness to whatever we want to bring culture and awareness to. I don't want it to come out across as though like there's this super set and super rigid way that we have to teach and super rigid things that we have to teach. We have the freedom as
Yes.
the teachers, the same way that the children have freedom as children. So I think that
Come
that's the
on.
part that we need to get back
Come
to, because
on.
we have to
Yes.
remember that Dr. Montessori was a scientist, and one thing a scientist is going to do is observe and change. So as
Yes.
things move, as things shift, as times change, as teachers come in, as teachers go out, whatever the case may be, we always need to remember to be flexible and incorporate when and where and how it's necessary to be flexible and incorporate. Um,
Yes. Oh
so
Yeah.
my
I
goodness.
think I
Yeah.
think there's been a little bit too much rigidity in the way that Montessori has been implemented, particularly here in the States, that needs to be addressed.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Y'all have me on fire here. I'm like, oh my gosh. And
Could
so
I
I just,
could I
yeah.
just jump in?
Yes.
I've
Come
just been
on.
reading the
Come on.
comments. I just want to speak a little bit and like hop
Yes.
off because I
Oh,
going with Bree. I know there's some administrators on this
yes.
call. And I know there was a comment about the dishwashing, right?
Mm,
Um,
okay.
I think when families have that pause, I will say Montessori is deeper than children washing dishes.
Mm,
Montessori is deeper than that. If
yes.
that is something that was a red flag to them, it's all rooted in community. Because the kids
Yes.
here in our primary classroom, they clean up after themselves, period.
Yes.
Because it's about being a community member. Mama Ashley is running a classroom. Mama Ashley don't have time to clean up
Uh-oh, we're losing you a little bit, Mama Ashley.
Oh, Mama Ashley,
Oh,
we're not hearing you.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that it's talk about being a responsible community member. So that's
Yes.
why we clean up after that ourselves. That's why we pay attention to our work because you're helping the whole classroom flow when you're doing that. And I would also urge administrators, if that is something where you get pushed back on how we speak respectfully to children, some people might say that is gentle, right? I would ask, what is your values at home? Because
Mm,
there might be a misalignment between
yes.
Montessori values and values at home, and that's okay. That's not my place to say the values in your home is incorrect. That's not my place. But what my place is to say, this is the values we have at this school. This is
Yes.
how we align to the Montessori method. This is how we are preparing the child to be a community member. It's not about always independence. Because I know Montessori get the rep like, oh, the independent child, the independent child. Independence within a community, right? We're grounding our children to be community minded. And if that's not a value for your household, then this is not the right place for you. And that's okay. And
Yeah.
that's not being anti Black either. It is rooted in love and truth.
Yeah.
Now,
And
there's
community.
the anti-blackness up in there, but if you are being rooted in love and truth, and you
Yes.
are coming to those parents and say, "What are your values?" and let's talk about this, and how
Yeah.
can I align that to Montessori? So I'm educating you, and there's still not an alignment. Then it's not an alignment.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
my goodness. Listen,
And
let
if
me,
I could just again veggie back on that, and so yes, if a community value is folk taking care of the environment. And so washing dishes, so many times children are looking to do what they see happening in their environment. And
Yeah.
so if they see mom washing dishes, if they see dad washing dishes, they see their older sibling washing dishes, then the child, and particularly when you're talking, the first playing child, they want to do what they see folk
Yeah.
doing around them. And
Yeah.
so if that's part of care of the environment, then helping the child to practice what is being done so that they can then participate in taking care of the environment, of being, they would talk of the functional independence of them doing those things that will help to maintain their environment, their community, then they can feel a part of it. Then that is part of the self-construction that the child is doing at that point. And
That's
when they
it.
are then able to go ahead and focus, and this was, let me just give a quick story. So at my school, that we, the public charter school we set up in DC, the child was learning, in the practical life section. This, in fact, the child was learning to wash dishes, and the mom, they had open house. The mom came to the open house. The child said, "Okay, the work that I want to show my mom is what I've been doing in the practical life." The child set up the station, put the apron on. The child started washing. The mom started breaking down in tears. After the child finished, the mom grabbed the child, said, "Baby, I apologize. I apologize. I've been shutting you down at home, thinking that you might break the dishes, thinking
Yep.
that you didn't know how to do it, but you can do this so well. Oh my."
Yeah.
And so again, for the child to be able to demonstrate,
Yeah.
Dr. Montessori would talk of valorization. The child is feeling that
Yeah.
they have agency.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And so again, if it is important for the child to demonstrate and to learn to self-construct themselves by doing things that are going to help them be a valuable contributor to the community, if that's important, then this is why in the first plane, children are engaged in this, because they are building themselves, building their confidence, building their, I can practically do this thing. And once in it, again, when you see the children
Yes.
do this thing, whether it's pouring, whether it's spooning, and they do the thing over and over again, they get into a flow and they know that they're good at it. You don't have to go ahead and tell them they're good at it. They know they're
That's
good
it.
at it
I
because they've
know.
been in the flow. They know it. Come on
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. Listen, y'all, listen. Let me tell you.
Um,
Go ahead, Misha. You're about to say something. I know. Go ahead. Go for it. Go
I
for it.
just want, yeah, I wanted to jump in on that. But what both Ashley and Dr. Aze have said about, one, values, and two, the meaning behind what children are doing and how it's associated with the planes of development. Those are things that we as educators know, but we need to find a way to present that to our community in a way that is functional, a way that can be understood, and a way that has meaning. The same way that we need to present meaning to the children and the work that they're doing, we need to present these things to the parents in a meaningful way.
That's
So a
it.
lot of parents,
Education.
especially Black
Yeah.
parents, will come and they might see children doing practical life activities and think, I'm not paying $2,000 for my child to come and sweep your classroom. This is
Yeah.
crazy, right? But how do we frame that so that the
Yeah.
understanding is, this is self-construction, this is care for the
Yes.
environment, this is
Yeah.
learning to be part of a community.
Unity.
It's much bigger than just sweeping the floor.
Yes. Much bigger.
Yes.
Y'all have me on fire. Really on fire. On fire. So, like, what I feel is we could continue this conversation for 3 more hours without a break. However, we're going to shift just a little bit, because if you're here with us or if you're going to join us later, there is a way to finish this conversation, to learn more, to do things differently. Because we talked about there's some administrators, and I'm also hoping there's some training centers on this call. I'm hoping that we go to the beginning where we're training Montessori educators to be this way from the beginning. And so, thank you for Regina, our current chair of MSJ, for uplifting that too. Like, don't forget about the training center. So thank you, Regina, for lifting that up. And so there's going to be a Black Montessori, the first conference. So let's talk about the conference. And I also want people to remember, if you're on this call, Black Montessori Education Fund, it is a place to raise funds. So I want to talk about both, a little bit about the conference and what is this fund? What does it do? How does it support? So if we can spend 5 minutes, I know I'm pressing you because I also want 5 minutes if people have questions to drop them in the chat and we can answer those questions. So tell me, y'all, what's happening? A conference? What's that about? And tell me, why is there this fund? Tell me about the fund.
Okay, so the conference will be the inaugural Black Montessori Conference coming up in June in DC, where we provide space for everything that we've just been talking about. We'll have opportunities for parents to learn, we'll have opportunities for educators to learn, school leaders, training centers, you name it, everyone can be enriched by the conversations, by the workshops, by the presentations. Sphere and energy of being in a space that is welcoming and is allowing people to be themselves within Montessori. So that is the main purpose of the conference, is to have, prepare, cultivate, own, claim, take up space. And that's what we're aiming to do. And that is an offshoot of the BMEF, which is not only do we provide funding for Montessori programs, but we also provide resources. And a big part of the push, going forward now, last year, is always, how do we keep the knowledge going? How do we keep pushing open these doors that people are trying to close on us in Montessori, in education, in the whole country in general?
Yes,
And
yes,
that's what we're here for. So in addition to, the conference, we also want to keep having these conversations with sister organizations like Embracing Equity, like
yes,
Montessori for Social Justice, and amplifying the work that each of us are doing, Black Wildflowers as well. We're all in this same work together, and
yes,
we're all learning, we're all growing, and we're all continuing to push past whatever is coming down the pipeline politically,
yes,
socially, and in all the ways. So yes, the
yes,
the BMEF provides scholarships. We have our first scholarship round opening up in February for child tuition. So parents who are interested in Montessori programs, we are providing scholarships for those, and the applications open the entire month of February. We will also be launching a podcast with the lovely Ashley and Bree here, and another one of our council members, Selena, who's
yes.
not on the call, who will be uplifting the work of the BMEF and talking a lot more about being a Montessori parent, being
Yes.
a Montessori educator, being all the things. So those are a few of the resources that we have coming down the pipeline, and you can find all of that on our website.
So let me ask you, who's the conference for? Who do you want to be there to present, attend? Who is it for?
So if
It
I
is
if I could, let me say not only who is it for, but where is it? So not only is it going to be in DC, it's going to be at the HU. So we just met with the dean, and the dean Williams, the School of Education, said we definitely want one of the first Black Montessori conferences to be held at the capstone of Black education, the Mecca itself, HU. And so we're looking to have this historic conference at the historic Howard University. And
Woo!
so come on, we want one and all. So again, we are focused, and I definitely have to give a shout out. So, Sister Misha gave a shout out to MSJ, gave a shout out to Embracing Equity, gave a shout out to, Black Wildflower, and, just a little history of so much of this galvanizing around history and justice in the Montessori space, I definitely give credit to MSJ for helping to really stir up and really change the atmosphere with some of the conversation around talking of students in the global majority, talking about how we're going to bring justice into the space. And then from MSJ, we get the dynamic work of embracing equity. We get the dynamic work of Black Wildflower. We get the dynamic work of so many folk who are really now focused on justice, because I think MSJ put it on the map for many of us. And again, it was in conversations with some of us, so I was there with Daisy, with MSJ, there with Tiffany, there with some of the dynamos doing some great work, whether it's loose or what. In fact, Dr. Mira Debs, she talks about in her book, Diverse Families, Desirable Schools,
Yes.
she talks about how some Black children are policed in Montessori spaces. And that's the thing that we said we got to change. And so it was, there you go, Dr. Evans, that's right. And
I'm
so,
trying to show us.
yeah,
Yes.
no, I see it. I see it.
Okay, got
And
it.
so what we're trying to do with the Black Montessori Conference is design a conference that is for us, by us, but it's open to everybody. We
Open
want
to
Lottie,
everybody.
Dottie, and everybody. I'm in DC, not far from DC. We can say everybody. We want
Yes.
everybody to come. And again, that's why we are intentional having it there at a HBCU, at the capstone of Black education. So come on to Bison Nation. That's right. Howard University, where we're looking to have this. But Misha, go ahead. You were saying something else.
One thing somebody asked is the scholarships also for teacher education. Can you answer that question?
Yes. I think Dr. Eze covered the conference bit
Yeah.
quite well. So yes, we have scholarships for teachers who are pursuing or want to pursue their Montessori certification, and we also have scholarships for Montessori programs in the form of educational capital. So if you have a school, whether it's a charter, public, homeschool, pod, whatever, if you have a Montessori program that needs support, we have scholarships for those as well. They're just all on different timelines. So all that information is available on our website. And I will say also about the conference, we have not open registration yet, but we will be doing so very, very soon.
Yes, I love that.
And also, Sister Misha, we also just confirmed that we are going to be doing a school tour of a Black Wildflower school, Blue Montessori. Brother
Yay.
Clifford, who again gave me again, my heart leapt as I did the tour at Blue Montessori to see again how we were intentionally
Yes.
in the space. So it wasn't sterile. It had culture. It was
Yes.
calling to me. And so,
Come on,
yes,
y'all.
we come on now.
Come
So we're gonna
on.
have a visit to Blue Montessori, HBCU, grounded for the conference, and a Black school, Montessori school tour. Come on, we giving the love. Come on now.
We got this. We got this. So as we bring it back around, you all, I want you to remember, if you were with us at the top, when Bree said, and Misha said, I felt alone in the Montessori spaces. We cannot have our folks, our families, our Montessorians feeling alone. And this is personal for me. I just want to, please, if you can, go back through the chat. People dropped Montessori schools where they're seeing this work is happening. Please check that out before we log off. And I just want to give a personal shout out to Amelia Sherwood. She is my Montessori daughter. She has launched the Sankofa Learning Center in Connecticut. She started right here, y'all. She started feeling alone. She started feeling lonely. She looked around and she was one of the only few. I just happen to personally know her story, but her story sounds like your story and your story and your story and your story.
Yes.
I think about Trisha Mokino, who started the Carish Children's Learning Center for Indigenous to reclaim language, right? There are people out here saying we can do this. And guess what, y'all? We need you. We need your help. You will not hear any webinar without me saying these words, any conference, any workshop that I'm leading without me saying this phrase. Our liberation is bound together.
Amen.
It's bound together. And so we need you all in this work. So remember, real talk, real action. And so we thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Please reach out to these amazing panelists. Keep an eye on the work that they're doing. The work of creating equitable, inclusive Montessori spaces is urgent, but it is work that we cannot do alone. So we invite you to take that next step with us, whether it's through attending the first ever Black Montessori Conference in June, whether it's supporting the Black Montessori Education Fund with everything that you have money to, or joining future efforts in building transformative educational spaces in collaboration with Embracing Equity, Montessori for Social Justice, and those who are doing this work. Now is the time to act. So get more involved, stay tuned to hear more, and we thank y'all for joining us. Real talk, real action. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Y'all, peace, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Gratitude. Thank you.
I want to see
Yeah.
y'all
Thank you.
at
Yeah.
Thank
the
you.
conference. I want to
Yes.
see everybody on this call at the conference. Yes.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
Bye,
you.
Thank you
everybody.
so much, Dr. Evans, for
All right.
shining.
Bye, y'all. All right. I ended it. That was fire. Come on, y'all. That was, I was like, remember I told you, I was like, it's going to go quickly. But that, y'all brought something. And I'm telling
It
you,
went by so fast.
it went by so fast.
Wow.
People will come. People are gonna come because of everything that you all say. And Katie was dropping y'all's links.
She was
So
on it.
Katie was on it.
Katie was
He
working.
was.
Thank you,
Dr. Katie was
Katie.
She was
working
lining
That
it off left and
radical
right.
listening.
Okay. That is
Didn't I
how
tell
you
you?
active
Katie was
listen.
like, heard that, boom,
What'd you
heard
say?
that, boom.
Research.
Yes, that's their research coming in. So thank you all. Hopefully, y'all, I think we're gonna get the people that we need. That's the point. We highlighted you all, and I really mean that invitation. If you're like, okay, Doc, let's do part two. If y'all want to do a part two, maybe we do one, you know, early right before the conference. If that makes sense for us to do, I'm game. If you say, all right, I'm also doing this work before the conference or this work after the conference, hit me up. Y'all are amazing.
Oh,
Honored to be in your presence. Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
I think we're still live. Annie sent us a note saying we're still live.
Yeah, we still live.
Okay. Sorry.
Ah.